Hi, I'm Frank Kopfinger, Head of Investor Relations and Strategy at LEG. Today is not so much about numbers, today is about solutions. And in this respect, ESG is key for LEG, and we position ourselves as a solution provider when it comes to the decarbonization of the residential sector. This is why I am joined today by my colleague Andreas Miltz, who is Managing Director of Renowate. Renovate is our serial answer to how we will change the way we do refurbishments, digitalize the process, and scale up going forward. And with this, I hand it over to you, Andreas, for a deep dive into Renovate. Andreas, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Frank. I'm happy to present Renovate today, both as a company and as a product. I'm Andreas Miltz, Managing Director, responsible for the business side of the company and the product. I'm happy to present the following agenda. First, I'm going to start with who we are as a company. Second, idea and objectives. The third item is about our various pilot projects. Fourth, the learnings that we have gained out of the projects that we have done so far. And as a last point, I'm going to present the current projects. And afterwards, I'm also happy to share a video about a recent project with you, which shows in very detail how we handle renovation projects and what the result of our renovation projects is. Let's start with who Renovate is as a company. We are a joint venture, a 50-50 joint venture between LEG Real Estate and Rhomberg Construction. LEG is a major real estate company in Germany, the second largest landlord with over 165,000 flats in their portfolio. Rhomberg Group is a family-owned construction company from Austria with around 1 billion euros of turnover, operating internationally and very innovative with a very broad range of daughter companies. So this is a company which is not driven by only one business model. It drives a lot of business models in different subsidiaries and also different joint ventures. We have founded Renovate together at the beginning of 2022 because we were convinced that the market back then didn't provide an offer that we were looking for as a large real estate company. So we decided to set this up ourselves. And the rationale behind that was we assumed that this kind of product needs both the knowledge out of large real estate companies, so to understand the customer side, and on the other hand, the construction knowledge from a large construction company, which is then making sure that the company is also able to deliver on the operational side, on the construction side. We are currently operating with 3 locations. Our headquarters are in Düsseldorf and Bregenz. In Düsseldorf, we have set up the team that does sales, that does marketing, IT, and also takes care of the construction sites. In Bregenz, we have set up our planning office, which is responsible for all architectural planning, product development, technical product development kinds of things. And in Vienna, we have just recently set up a sales office because the market in Vienna and the residential portfolio around Vienna is a very attractive market that we also want to target. Despite that, we also are in the process of founding a branch in Switzerland as our target, and the target of our shareholders is to establish this company and also to sell the product in the 3 German-speaking countries, Germany, Austria, and Switzerland for a start. We are currently around 25-30 employees, rapidly growing. We have just hired another 5 people for the beginning of 2024, which shows that despite the general crisis environment in the residential and construction industry, that serial energetic renovation is still a product and a market that works because the problem is not going to disappear. Everyone is still forced to take care of decarbonizing the residential asset portfolio. What were the ideas and objectives that led us to found and establish Renovate? There are a couple of challenges that we all know and that led us to the conclusion to establish Renovate as a joint venture with the Rhomberg Group. The first and foremost topic is obviously the CO2 climate targets that we need to achieve both as LEG ourselves, but that also need to be achieved by all residential asset holders in the market. a couple of other things that we are able to tackle with the Renovate product at the same time. One thing is the shortage of skilled labor at the usual construction site, and you need a couple of hundred workers that are taking care of the building. We are able to operate a construction site with just a few people doing the construction work with our facade elements, which you're going to see in a couple of minutes. The interest rate environment currently is also something that makes our product even more attractive, because we were able, for example, to reduce the cost level of serial energetic renovation already by around 20-25% in the last couple of months, which means that even with a 4 or 5% interest rate environment, the asset holders are still willing and able to invest in serial energetic renovation, because the price level is rather attractive compared to the situation that we had 24 months ago when this product was not existing. A last topic that I want to share with you is the material costs and availability. On the cost side, we saw a 15-16% inflation on construction costs in the last 12 to 24 months. And also there was a rather high problem with respect to availability. For example, heat pumps were basically sold out last summer, and it was very difficult to be able to complete the portfolio of things that you need to run a construction site. Our business model ensures that we are able to both construct the building in a very efficient and cost-saving way, which compensates problem of inflation to a certain extent, not fully obviously, but to a certain extent. And with respect to availability, our business model ensures that we are able to tell the suppliers in a very long run what kind of material and what kind of technology we need for the next 12 to 24 months, which means that the planning more advanced in comparison to a classic construction site. So what is our approach as Renovate? We are offering serial refurbishment, and in order to understand what this is, it needs to be compared with classic refurbishment. I'm going to start with the classic refurbishment for that reason. If someone starts working on their building and wants to gain a relevant advantage with respect to the energy efficiency level out of a very old building from the 50s with a very old heating system, with a very old roof, they usually start with doing insulation with a large number of workers gluing insulation elements on the facade one by one. This takes a lot of time. This is very inefficient. This is very costly. So one thing and one part of our product is we have reinvented the business model around facade insulation. We prefabricate the whole facade upfront in a factory, which means that facade element comes to the construction site already fully prefabricated and includes the insulation, the window, the sun blinds, and everything that needs to be in it. And it's just being mounted at the construction site. This reduces costs. This reduces the time at the construction site, and also makes the process of planning and producing rather more efficient, because everything works in a very efficient environment in the factory rather than having to mount everything on site when it's raining, when the sun is shining in a very deep way, and that makes the whole process rather more efficient. The second item that is a core part of our product is the heating system. In old buildings from the 50s, 60s with rather bad energy efficiency classes, we usually find gas heatings or oil heatings. We replace them with very high technology standard heat pumps. This is the one solution that we offer. The other solution, depending on the availability in the local community, is that we can also connect our product with the local heating network, which is then supplied and operated by the local community, and that we can also integrate in our solution. The third part is that we replace the roof. And there are two options in it. We just replace it, insulate it, in order to make sure that the building reaches the targeted energy efficiency level. If the asset owner wants to add photovoltaic technology to the building, this is also possible. Let me present you also one of our pilot projects that shows in more detail how the concept that I have now presented to you, the more theoretical side, works in practice. We have renovated a building from 1955, energy efficiency class according to German standard H, which is the worst energy efficiency class, to A in the so-called Renovate speed. And this is what we call the speed in which we operate the construction, because one of the key advantages of doing serial energetic refurbishment in comparison to classic refurbishment is obviously that this doesn't require years, but that we are able to finish a construction site in a couple of months. And this was even possible in the first project that we did last year. The main goal was to learn as much as possible inside the asset portfolio of one of our shareholders in order to then be able to set up a market-ready product as soon as possible based on the learnings that we gained. This happened in Mönchengladbach with building with around 2,500 square meters living space, 50 residential units. We started right after the foundation of Renovate with the planning, started the projects end of July, were able to install the facade elements in around 8 weeks. So that means 180 large-scale facade elements, which you see on the small picture in the middle, were constructed and were mounted in just 8 weeks. And the project was finished end of December 2022. So that means within only a couple of months, the building was transformed from the worst energy efficiency situation that exists to the best energy efficiency situation that is possible without adding a photovoltaic machine to it. This is something that the asset holder can still do later, but we want to focus on the core product development in the first project. What were the key learnings that we already gained and that ensured that we are now able to supply the product already to external parties, also outside of our shareholders? The first learning was we are not doing new construction of new buildings. We are working in the asset portfolio that is already existing and where people are living. One of the most relevant challenges is that the whole construction happens when the tenants are living in the building. So no one is going to be switched to a hotel because we neither have the hotel capacity to do that, nor do we have, and does the budget of the project allow this. That is why we have made the decision to take care of tenant communication ourselves, because that is both a time and cost relevant input factor to our business case. We have set up a tenant portal in order to do that, which means that the tenant can communicate with us in a very easy manner. He scans a QR code and is then able to do basically two things. First, he's able to see what the construction plan means to both the project in general and also to him and his flat more specific. He's able to see when might be a good day to do home office and homework and when might not be a good day to be at home because the facade element construction is happening, for example. The second thing that the tenant can do is that he is able to schedule appointments with us. We obviously have to be in the flats a couple of times to fix the facade elements to the existing building, to change the heating and a couple of other things. For that, it's very convenient to know holiday times up front to be able to schedule and reschedule appointments, which helps us a lot in being able to deliver on time and in quality and in budget during an ongoing construction project. The second learning was around ventilation. In the first project, we still had to work with the standard model with respect to ventilation, which was way too big, which was far too expensive, and which was not customized to our product. The reason for this was that obviously we were sure that we wanted to make sure that the world is freed from CO2 and that we knew that this business model will obviously be a great and promising business case. Not all ventilation suppliers believed in this the same way, so they just offered us their standard product at the beginning. Now we have proven that our assumptions were true and we were able to develop together with a well-known German supplier a ventilation system that is now only supplied for facade prefabrication approach that we are using. It's far more cheaper it's smaller and we are not forced to reduce the window capacity in the facade elements because we are able to integrate the ventilation system right into the facades without any impact on the windows. The third learning was the fastening of the facade elements. In the first project, we mounted the facade elements with far too much steel, which is, as we all know, very expensive and very much demanded. In the second project and in the projects that we're currently doing, we have already invented a system that uses only a small share of the steel that we needed to install in comparison to the first project. So this is both a technology improvement but also obviously a capacity and cost reduction that is a very nice addition to our business case. Let me also tell you something about the current projects. While our first approach was to have the first pilot project ready and mounted as soon as possible in the first year, we obviously had to start with scaling in the second year, and this is what we have achieved 2023. The outlook is then to be able to sell the product also to external parties, but I'm going to come back to that later on. Our current project is residential portfolio of LEG with around 120 units in Mönchengladbach, also located in North Rhine-Westphalia. We have started the construction in March and we are now about to finish. Also in this project, we have gained a lot of learnings that we were able to use for our product development and to make the product even smarter for future customers, both working obviously with LEG and also then with external parties later on. As you see on the picture, we have also worked on design a bit. Obviously, as we are talking about a living space that costs something between 5 and 10 euros, depending on the specific flat per square meter. This is nothing where the asset holder aims to win architectural design prize, and also there's no budget to do that. But obviously, we also want to make sure that this is an attractive asset after the renovation, not only from an energy efficiency perspective, but also from a design perspective. And that is why we have tried also different design alternatives here, more in a gray way in Mönchengladbach, and also to be able to have a certain portfolio of design variants for internal and external customers. So what is our pipeline in the coming months and years? Here you see exactly what I've already touched. First year was 50 units pilot project. Second year, 200 units to prove that it is also scalable. And this would not work with a company with a couple of 25, 30 people to be able to scale from 50 to 200 without this serial approach, right? A usual construction company wouldn't be able to do that. And also the third step that is also shown here, the external market and the refurbishment of more than 500 units next year is only possible because the serial energetic refurbishment approach shows that it works and shows that even with small increase in capacity, we are able to increase the output with respect to refurbished units in a very high way compared to the capacity increase. To sum it all up, Renovate has been established to conquer the market of serial energetic refurbishment in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. We have already delivered both a first pilot project and the proof that we are able to scale our business in a rather efficient manner. Next year, we are also going to work with already 4 external parties refurbishing their units in North Rhine-Westphalia and beyond. And the last finding is also that the German politics are in favor and supporting this product, as you see on the lower right-hand side, both local and also a federal minister taking a look at the mounting work at one of our construction sites. With that being said, I will now hand you over to a short video which shows the mounting and construction process for our first pilot project with 50 units, 2,500 square meters, and will provide you a deep dive in how we are developing residential buildings from the worst energy efficiency class to the best energy efficiency class. For your interest and attention for Renovate and its product. If you have any follow-up questions, I'm sure that Frank and the investor relations team of LEG are happy to respond to that, and you were also invited to contact Renovate directly.